I know, chasing that dough, hitting that road, getting that money, man. All I know, loading that foe, kicking down doors, getting that money, man. We gon' make it money. We gon' take it Grizzly. We gon' make it money. We gon' take it Grizzly.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is what determines fight of the year, and G's going to lay the foundation for this one.
Yeah, so, after the Munguia-Rosado fight, Claressa Shields gave her input on the fight. So let me just share my screen real quick. And, okay, y'all see it? Okay, there it goes. Now, Claressa writes, this why they don't like me. I'm not going to play rock'em sock'em robots in a boxing match. I dominate, but everyone wants to see the back and forth. It's exciting for people watching, but not the fighters. And she reshared this round by round boxing post that says, ring announcer after Munguia-Rosado, quote, this without a doubt fight of the year, end quote. And it says, huh? Question mark. So the question is, hold on. Oh man.
Uh-oh.
What's up? You know what it is. What up, world?
Yo, you know what? He must have known we were talking about Claressa. He must have known we were talking about Claressa.
I had that tingling feeling, yo. You know that my Claressa's tingling, yo.
But anyways, so the question is, what determines fight of the year? And so I guess should I just start?
Yeah, go ahead, G. You go.
Right, so to me, I kind of felt low key that Claressa was being too harsh, because I feel like fight of the year doesn't necessarily mean like it's a one-sided fight or like two gentlemen that are like highly skilled, right? I think what it is like I guess it's like a combination of things, right? It's like a jambalaya type of soup. It has to have several ingredients, right? You got to have the fear of a knockout, right? By both gentlemen. You got to have like two styles that blend well with one another. What else? Just in this action, it can't be boring. It has to be like action packed. Like, for example, the argument is Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the trilogy is arguably fight of the year, right? Now, let's just be real. Tyson Fury is obviously way more skilled than Wilder, but Wilder always had that right hand that kept him in there. So everyone's like, oh man, like when you think Wilder's done, next he lands that right hand, Fury goes down. So it keeps the excitement, and he has an equalizer in that fight. When you look at Munguia versus Rosado, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, damn, like Munguia is going in, throwing combinations, doing all kind of stuff, but then Rosado would just always catch him. Like, now, surprisingly, both gentlemen never dropped, right, during that fight. And they kept connecting, right? Munguia more so than Rosado, but nonetheless, you're thinking, Rosado at any time could drop Munguia with a shot. If he lands that right hand, he might go down. And so I think that's what builds the concept of fight of the year. It's two styles that complement one another in the ring. You know what I mean? There's a high level of threat, you know what I mean? Meaning somebody could get knocked out at any moment, and that's what people want to see. It's just like this fight was electrifying, it was exciting. So other fights, sometimes like it could be like, let's say like a Floyd fight, right? Floyd spectacular. I remember Floyd versus Pacquiao. It was one-sided. You know what I mean? Everyone's expecting Pacquiao to do the most. Pacquiao did the least. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, this is a great performance.
Hey, I'm not with G.
Well,
I am not with G.
I'm just saying, remember, Pacquiao said, oh, because of my shoulder. You know what I mean? That's why his performance was suspect. All I'm saying is no one made an argument saying that was fight of the year. People were like, yo, that was a mega fight. But although Floyd's performance was spectacular, there was no real threat from Pacquiao. So that the fight like that wouldn't be classified as fight of the year. It has to be where two fighters at any moment can like violate one another, right? That's why the Mayweather versus Pacquiao just wasn't fight of the year, but a fight like Fury and Wilder or Munguia versus Rosado could be arguably fight of the year because they have those ingredients that people want to see, especially for casuals.
All right, so I'm gonna go in and I'll throw you in, Ned. Basically, Ned, your girl Clarissa Shields is critiquing the fight that happened last night. Said that they were just exchanging,
Rock'em
heavy punches. They were like rock'em sock'em robots. Here's the thing, man. It's like categories, for example, right? With movies, there's like, best screenplay or, best actor, best plot or stuff like that. When you talk about fight of the year, it's more about the action. It's about, were people entertained? Were they on the edge of their seat? Typically it's a back and forth type of fight. I feel like Munguia versus Rosado was too one-sided to be fight of the year. So in order for a fight to be fight of the year, in my opinion, I have to be unsure of who's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be like thinking, man, Munguia is about to get him, and then bang, Gabe just comes on, and then it's like, oh man, and now I'm really sitting there like, yo, who's gonna win this fight? Like I remember I was at the first fight between Andre Berto and Victor Ortiz, and to me that was fight of the year, and it did win fight of the year. It happened in Foxwoods in Connecticut, and I was at the fight. And I just remember thinking like, oh man, like this is it. Berto got him. And then whoop. And then again. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at the crowd. And it's just like a different type of feeling. It doesn't have to be the most skilled fight. It wasn't like Floyd Mayweather was in that ring. But what I was seeing was entertaining. What I was watching was riveting. What I was watching was like, oh my God, like, yo, I'm really here right now looking at this fight. And that's the type of feeling. It's like bang for your buck. Like I didn't feel robbed when I left that fight. I felt like, man, that I got my money's worth. That's what I felt like. And the people who watch Munguia versus Rosado, they're like, man, like, yo, I was at that fight. Like, they may even keep the ticket and be like, yo, I was at that fight. Mm-hmm. So you got to think of it like this, Clarissa. Look at the announcers. Look at like Todd Gresham and Sergio Martinez. And look at these guys do fights every week. So for them to actually say a fight may be fight of the year, that means they had to actually feel like they weren't at work. Mm-hmm. Like, man, like, dude, this was a good fight. Like, I know that I'm at work, but I actually enjoyed watching this fight. Because some fights are so boring, you're at work. Some fights are so boring, people feel robbed after they watch it.
Like Jose Benavidez.
Like Jose Benavidez. And so my thing with Clarissa is like, you don't do yourself any favors by saying that. It's like rock'em sock'em robots. This is boxing at the end of the day. And what happens when you have two skilled fighters in the ring is they find ways to put gloves on each other. Like Munguia was going in for the kill and Rosado was countering. And hopefully when you fight Savannah, you may want to blow her out. But if she's worth her weight, if she's any good, if she's as good, she's going to find a way to put gloves on you and force you to have to overcome. That's what makes a great fight. And I'll finish and then I'll throw it to you, Ned. It's like Wilder and Fury. I believed Fury was going to win the entire time. But that fourth round, I didn't know who was going to win. That fourth round, I didn't know if Fury was going to get up. That's what makes a great fight. Fury gets up, and now they're going back and forth. Do I think that fight was as skilled as Usyk Joshua? No, I do not. I do not. But for the most part, when I watched Usyk Joshua, I had a feeling Usyk was swinging Usyk's way. I had a feeling it was a good fight. When I was watching Fury and Wilder, even when it was 9th round and Wilder was exhausted, I knew all it took was one. And that was exciting. Again, it's not always about skill. It's not rock'em sock'em robot. It's about bang for your buck, value, entertainment, how engaged. Like people like, yo, did you see that type of moment? You'll know when you have it yourself. All right, go ahead, Ned, the TVE.
Uh, I have feedback, but I'm gonna go anyway. But fight of the year. What determines fight of the year is when hype meets expectations. Like when you get it's hyped up to be some great fight, and then when you watch it, it's everything they say it was. And I'm gonna say this: I agree with Caden that Wilder Fury fight. I expect the Fury to knock him out, go run through Wilder like he did in the second fight, and expose him for who he is. But Wilder showed a lot of heart and determination that we saw a different side. We saw a different Wilder than we saw in his career. Like this Wilder was impressive. But then again, I'm not. I'm gonna say this. This is my fight of the year. That is my fight of the year. Is Deontay versus Fury because it was a belt on the line. It was heavyweights. It was a big fight. It was a fight that could end someone's career. And Wilder redeemed his career from his performance in that fight. But what determines fight of the year? I gotta say height, belts, uh, elite top. Who's fighting? This can't be just two Joe Schmoes trying to build up their name.
Nah, I disagree with that, man.
I'm just saying
I
it can't
disagree
be
with
fight of
that.
the year if we don't know. If we don't know him.
Yeah, Rosado.
They two Joe Schmoes. I can't.
Schmoes,
It was a great
I'm not
fight. It was
saying,
the best
Gabe.
fight I ever seen. But
I'm
it's
not
two
saying-
Joe Schmoes, so it can't be.
No, I'm just saying it can't be like a bar like what is it? It can't be something. The first
Zapata, I can't remember the other guy's name. They got fight of the year. They weren't like as renowned as say Fury, whatever, but their fight was magnificent. If you go watch it.
True, but that means there's the fights that were like hyped up didn't meet our expectations. Like it was like, oh, he fought a bump, or the guy that they put in was food. You know, when they shipping food, it's like it's never fight of the year. It can't. It doesn't. It's like we know who's gonna win. We're rooting for the winner, but when it's like it's unknown, like a couple years ago, fight of the year. When Ruiz knocked out Joshua, I say that was fight of the year because Ruiz shocked the world. We didn't expect that, and Ruiz. It was a battle.
Fight of the year, upset of the year. You see
Upset.
what I'm saying? It's categories.
Both. Yeah, like he got all the belts. He put on for Mexico, everything. Another one I could think of. One fight that could have been fight of the year if it didn't was Brian Castano versus Jamel Charlo, and that ended dry. In part 2 is gonna be amazing. We don't know what's gonna come from that fight, but what determines fight of the year is everything like the status of the fighters, where they rank, their belts, their everything. It's just all of those that mix into all the ingredients, like G said, comes together, and that will, if the hype meets the expectation, when the hype meets the expectation, it's fight of the year. It's like I could talk about this in Fight Face centuries. Yeah.
I mean, Ned, I'm not disagreeing with you per se. The only thing is, I don't think hype needs to be a factor because you could have like a fight where you're not even thinking this is gonna happen, and it just shocks you. It's just a surprise. Like, okay, these guys may not even have a belt, but they put in their heart and soul into each punch for 12 rounds. You're like, you got to give these guys.
But the hype gets the audience. When the audience comes and they see something that's lackluster, they be like, I wish my money.
Me on this. Couldn't the audience, right, fall in love with those fighters once that bell rings? You know what I mean? It could be like, yo, these guys about to fight. I'm about to go get a beer or something. But when you come back, you're seeing these guys going blow for blow. Pause. But like exchanging, it's like a high level of threat. You're like, these might kill each other. Like, you know, like
what I'm saying is,
if it's gotta be like, okay, this is arguably at least a contender for fight of the year.
What I'm saying is, like, say a fight on Fox, the first undercard fight, it's an amazing fight, but not everybody's there to see it. So it's like if a tree falls in the woods, do you hear it? Does it make it sound? Like that's the type of thing.
I'm walking with you, Dad. I got
you. Feel me? It's like you need everybody to tune in.
You know what I mean?
You need everybody to tune in, and when like that's what makes you a star. Like when you grab the attention of the
deep,
crowd.
man. You deep, man.
You know. That's all I
deep
gotta
right
say.
now, Ned.
Look,
I'm gonna
yeah,
say
thank
this. I'm gonna say this, yo, Ned. I'm walking with you a little bit, but I part ways with you, and I'll tell you why. I agree with you that when a fight that has a lot of hype meets expectations, it's automatically going to be entered into consideration for fight of the year. That's why I agree with you. Where we part ways is that a fight that doesn't have hype and doesn't have fighters who are, renowned or famous can't be fight of the year. And I'll give you an example. Arturo Thundergadi and Andre Ward, they weren't the most famous. The fight wasn't the most hype. It was the fact that it was so good, and then they did it again, and it was really good. So then they did it again, and it goes down to history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest trilogy of all time, right? And so you have to look at it from that perspective and say, like, yeah, there are a lot of variables that contribute to a fight being fight of the year, but the main thing I feel like is what happens in the ring. Is it riveting? Does it have people on the edge of their seats? Are people sitting there like, yo, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now? There has to be some shock value. There has to be some doubts as to who's going to win at some point. And you just have to be sitting there. It has to be like the drama that only real life circumstances, unscripted, everyone, like, you see like Eddie Hearn not Eddie Hearn, but in the Fury fight, you see Bob Arum 1 minute like, yeah, we got it. You see Frank Warren, and then the next minute you see them like, oh my God, like that's fight of the year type stuff to me. And that can happen regardless of who the combatants are, in my opinion.
But I will say this is where I'm leaning towards Ned now. When I think about it, the hype should be a determining factor. If, let's say, there's like a mean draw, right? You're like let's say Rosario, Munguia, Wilder, Fury. If there's really like a debate, then I think hype has to be like the final, like, make or break of who actually gets fight of the year. You know what I mean? Because more people have seen Fury versus Wilder as opposed to Munguia versus Rosado.
I think hype is always going to sway it because for me, I feel like it's always more difficult to live up to the hype. I think like it's to be an unexpected great fight where no one had any expectations, but when going in, everyone's like, "Oh man, this is going to be a great fight," and it live up to the hype. I think that that is always going to be rewarded. So I think we agree on that. All right, anything else, gentlemen?
Nah, we good.
All right, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, we have a podcast on all major streaming services. Just in case you don't want to see any of us on your screen, you can check us out and listen to our podcast.
They love seeing me. You know what I'm saying?
You said what happened, G?
I said they love seeing me.
They love seeing the G man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, G, before they come to see you, they come to see the TBE. Respect yourself.
You know what? We got, you know what it is? Yo, hey, we got another name for G. It's GQ. All right, so we got GQG. GQG. Yellow Claws. You see what it is? GQG. GQG Yellow Claws. All right, so and also we're close to 15,000 subs, so you might as well subscribe. Thank you.
Oh man.
You're welcome. You're all welcome.